played just 1 year of football at Douglas, and that was part of what I'm saying. Getting to Douglas was being able to play football. I had several uncles that played on the football team. One was a running back, a great running back, and one was actually a quarterback for Douglas. And he was also homecoming queen. Queen, homecoming king. Oh, Lord, if he heard me, but he's passed. But, and then my brother, he was played guard, and they was like, they were outstanding in the sports and stuff. And my one uncle, Bobby, he was a great basketball player. And my uncle Ab was the quarterback for Douglas. I remember, and a lot of the city boys didn't like it to bring it up. If it wasn't for the county boys, they wouldn't have had a team. Because we had, if you look at the names and all on the football teams, they were a lot of the kids from the county. Once in a while, we had a bus. Most of the time, the 16-year-old kids that had driver's license is the ones that drove us to the games. And there would be like 6 of us in a car, and depending on how many, Mr. Barksdale would take along with him, that depended on how many you got in the car together. But it was usually the students that drove the cars to the games and stuff. So always talked about they wanted to play Douglas in football. But then there was some saying, it's no way. They brought James Wood out there to watch one of the Douglas games. And the coach said, ain't no way. And I think at every one of our games, we always had an ambulance because someone got seriously hurt. But when you go to their games, you didn't see any ambulances around, and those kids come out there. 15 players played Cardoza out of D.C. and beat them 6-0. And they said they had it in the Washington Post that the big city school goes to little country school and finds out they're tougher than nails. Yeah, so they had about 30-some players. They had, they had offense and defense, and everybody on our team played both ways, So you had 15 players, that's all you could do, Mr. Ed Barksdale, our coach, and he was a wonderful coach. He would take, at one time he had every male in high school playing basketball or football. He would go out and kind of like force them, talk them into playing. But, and I know my wife's going to kill me for this one, but we were sitting in health class, Mr. Barksdale taught health, and someone broke wind. See, I told you. And Mr. Barksdale said, okay, this is part of health class. He said, I'm going to explain to y'all where gas comes from. So what he did, he brought in the next day, he had a big pot of white beans. And we ate the beans and stuff. And he said, now later on, this is where gas comes from, he said. And it was, we sitting up in school, unheard of, sitting in our health class eating white beans. And, and I thought that was the highlight of my high school, Mr. Barksdale, doing that. But he was a wonderful coach, yeah. I can remember being from the county and like the games, basketball games, football games, they was on the radio back then. And now they don't even have the high schools on the radio anymore. But we would sit at home because we didn't have a car to get down to the games and stuff. But I remember listening to the play-by-plays on the radio at Douglas and stuff. And then Douglas was like one of the #1 high schools in the area. And a lot of the teams feared Douglas, even though we didn't have a lot of athletes in there, but they did fear the ones we did. And they went to state for 11 years straight there at one time.